Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we just had a few call-ups here for the main roster from NXT. So I figured we would talk about them, kind of predict how well their run's going to be, how well they're going to get booked, and basically just all that type of stuff, and put them in some type of rating system to see maybe a couple months down the line if we would agree that that's where they are. So obviously S tier being that they're going to make a push, doing a bunch of stuff. Bottom of the thing just being that they're going to be on the roster doing stuff. We'll talk about it as we go along. So we start off with Ethan Page, a guy that's just absolutely beyond ready and needed to be called up a long time ago. It's just that there was no need for him to be called up because they needed him on NXT more. It's the same thing with Ricky Saints and even Joe Hendry when he first came over. It's just like they were veteran people that just kind of needed to get into the groove. But Ethan Page, out of all of them, was just been down there and done amazing work. So he was absolutely ready to be up there. Now, being on Monday Night Raw, I think you're a little bit limited to what you can go. Obviously, it looks like they're going to push him towards the Intercontinental title. Good shot. I think that's a good thing to do. There's a lot of buzz around it. Obviously, Penta being the champion and whatever else happens from that. There's just a bunch of contendership around that area that I think they could really still make his character interesting and like give him a chance to one be known by the main roster. There's people that don't watch NXT a lot of the time, so half of these people are completely brand new to them, so they kind of have to be introduced to the character and introduce what they can do a lot of the time. So this is a prime example of just getting that extra time to see this guy. I think a lot of people will see why he's going to be on the main roster. Now, being towards like the higher mid card, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle on Raw because the time is limited. Not to mention, like, there's a lot of loaded guys and a lot of young guys on that roster that they also need to be giving pushes to. So I think like around that mid card area is going to be his bread and butter, at least for this first year, and I think he's gonna get pushed quite a bit. I don't know if he'll really be in the just like intercontinental title picture the whole time, but I think he'll have some feuds. He's shown that plenty of times. He has that installed hatred with Javon Evans that they showed off in that first match, so that was a good callback that ended up helping him out and doing stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, I think I would put him in a solid B. I think he's that perfect catalyst of being like he is the guy that they wanted in that spot, and he has pretty much the sky's the limit, but he also does have a window on what time that they want to use him. Next up, you got Sol Ruka. Honestly, getting right off the match against Liv Morgan is a one hell of a way to get called up. Obviously, she didn't win, but I mean that should be granted, But I think she's been doing solid stuff in NXT. A little bit surprised that they called her up on this wave. I thought before was like the better call, but they wanted to finish the whole Zarya thing, I think, and having that extra last woman standing match, I think is what their key thing was. I do think it works out. It kind of makes her more of a baby face going into this roster. I think she can have a lot of solid matches. There's a lot of people to have matches with on Raw. I don't know what kind of push that's going to be. With the title on Becky Lynch, honestly, Sol would be the perfect person to dethrone her. I mean, let's be honest, there's not anybody else out there that I feel like fits that mold perfectly than to have Sol Ruka have that title and be able to do stuff. It's kind of like they did with Lyra Valkyrie in the beginning. So I don't know. I really do think if we're going to put her anywhere, so I'm going to put her up in A. I think there's a good shot that she's going to be in that title picture for the Intercontinental title, like, all year, and probably actually win it. At least in like Ethan Page's case, I don't really necessarily see him winning it, but I could definitely see Sol winning it. So I'm going to put her slightly above him. Next up, we have Joe Hendry. I see him like being up there and having matches, but it's hard to see what he's going to be absolutely doing. Like, I definitely don't think he's going to be a main event talent. Roman Reigns is the champion there, so I don't think he's going to be anywhere near that. Against Penta and Ethan Page area of like the mid card, like he's kind of already feuded with Ethan Page. I mean, feuding against Penta just doesn't necessarily seem that way. So it seems like he's just going to be kind of stuck in the middle. I think he's going to probably, not spoiling too much of the rest of the picks, I think he's going to have the hardest trouble finding his spot. Obviously, they're going to use him like they're using him next week in a concert, and whatever happens with that, I think hopefully somebody interrupts him and they start a feud that way or something. But yeah, I'm not really feeling that there's like a perfect person or a group to go after him. So I guess I'm going to go C, and we'll see what he's going to do. And then next up, I'm gonna put them all as a full package, but Fatal Influence got the Finn. I think they're going to be a full package Finn. I honestly see them winning the tag titles like very soon. I feel like that's kind of what they were doing with the push. Obviously, Jace versus Rhea Ripley was big for her. Ended up being a no contest, which I really kind of wish it wasn't. I feel like just losing would have been a little bit better. Like if she just decided, like, yeah, I'll take her on and I'll, fight her. But it kind of felt pointless if it was a punishment to go after Rhea Ripley and then, it was not like then they just cheat and lose, or like get DQ'd. It felt like that kind of should have been something where they were barred from ringside, and I don't know. It just felt a little odd. I mean, obviously losing clean to Rhea Ripley wouldn't have been a bad thing for Jace because she is the champion and she got enough offense in there to look like she belongs on the main roster and stuff. So I really don't understand that. But the group itself, I do think will have a chance to get tag gold. I think they seem to be the people that I would feel like that has the best shot, or at least the shot that they should, to beat Nikki Bella or Brie Bella and Paige. I think obviously with their interaction already with them, it feels that could be very much on the horizon. So hopefully so, because I really think that will make that faction and the whole group stay a lot better. So I guess I'll put them in A because I do see a title in their future. The U.S. title I think probably is out of reach, but that's just because I think there's going to be a lot of people hovering around that, depending on who's going to get moved up to feud with Rhea Ripley. Next up, we get Ricky Saints. He's going to SmackDown. I think that's kind of the best spot for him. If not Raw, to be paired with Ethan Page would have been better. This is a little bit harder to judge because he hasn't made his debut or anything, so we don't know exactly where he's going or what he's doing. I definitely see him, maybe feuding with Trick Williams. I think it would be a decent feud. They've already had that before in NXT. You can rehash these things on the main roster because a lot of people haven't seen that. So I think I'd put him in the same area of Ethan Page. I could see him going around that mid card and doing stuff, and maybe even having an interaction with Cody Rhodes could very possibly be a thing too, because they're friends. That would be one push where he just goes and tries to get a match with Cody right off the bat, and maybe even does, and that could be something too. That would be one big debut for him and could definitely help Cody get some momentum back, but also, Ricky Saints getting a bunch of momentum to have a maybe title shot or even just a match with Cody right off the bat, I think would be, killer for him. Next up, we have Blake Monroe. Honestly, I mean, she's the most ring-ready person, I think, in this whole entire list. Like, I think she's just, and on the mic, too. I mean, everything about her is a superstar, so it's kind of hard not to think that she's going to get a mega push. With Tiffany Stratton as the U.S. champion, I think it does kind of work for her to go after her. I know they kind of have, like, I wouldn't say a similar gimmick, but they have a similar style that could work either as partners or against each other. I think the brutality of, whatchamacallit, I keep wanting to say Mariah May, but Blake Monroe, I think would work really well in that spot. But honestly, don't sleep on her not, getting that opportunity to go after Rhea Ripley. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, but somebody like Blake Monroe going against Rhea Ripley honestly would be a big injection into the whole main event scene, because everybody thinks when somebody gets called up, they're going to be towards that mid card or upper mid card, but going right into the main event honestly might be the best call. I think she would get some good solid matches against Rhea Ripley, not to mention, like, I do really think that feud would cook because Blake Monroe can handle herself on the mic. So I'm honestly going to put her up in A. I think she has the opportunity. I think most of the women called up are going to have great opportunities because, one, the released a bunch of people, so that really did something. And then two, there's just space there anyways, especially with SmackDown being 3 hours. So I really could see all three of them winning a championship by summer, honestly. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, by the next couple months, having belts on them. The people in B, I could see them possibly being in that area. And like Joe Hendry, I'm just not really sure exactly what to do with him. I can definitely see him feuding against like a comedy act. I can see him feuding with the main, mid card stuff. I could see him just, feuding with somebody like Gunther. Like, it's just, it could work anywhere, but like also not have any type of push for him because I don't feel like he's the guy you choose over other established wrestlers right at this moment. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Obviously, there's been a lot of different WWE stuff going on, so there's a bunch of different videos on the channel. So if you like that type of stuff, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.